Have you ever been working on a project and struggled to get your knot to stay put? A while back I shared how to do the square knot, also known as the reef knot, and many of you in the comments recommended that I try the surgeon's knot. It's even more secure, super strong, and perfect for keeping those yarn ends in place. So let me show you how it's done. Now, just like the square knot, to avoid making the granny knot, the best way to remember doing this is to remember the phrase right over left and left over right. Place your two yarn ends in front of you, take the right yarn and cross it over the left and wrap. Now, instead of completing the knot, you're going to do that one more time. Just wrap the yarn around the other one more time. And then go left over right to make your last tie. Pull on all four ends until the knot is nice and snug. This is key. You really want to pull tight enough to where everything is tightly joined together. And at this point, then you can snip your yarn. Now I'm using a cotton yarn for this, and I've always had great success with cotton because it's more dry and not as soft as the other yarn types. So here's an example with a very soft wool yarn that I had the most difficulty with not staying in. Take the right yarn and cross it over the left and wrap. Wrap the yarn around the other one more time. Go left over right to make your last tie. And pull on all the ends until everything merges together. And at this point, then you can snip your yarn. Also dig into that center, because if you pull tight, it may work really well, but if you dig into that center, that will easily break it apart for you if it's not working properly. Now, the biggest question and the biggest concern is cutting close to that knot, and I get it. There is always a chance that it could come undone over time, especially with movement or tension in your project. So it's always a good idea, especially for your soft yarns, to leave a small tail after tying the knot. Now, the last thing I want to do is encourage you to do something that will cause issues or frustration. So if you want to try cutting close to the knot, use it on projects that you know you're keeping at home so you can keep an eye on it. But if it's something that you want to sell or give as a gift, I'd recommend that you leave the tails on just for that added assurance. And you can still avoid having to weave in ends. You're just going to work over those tails as you're making your stitch. So what do you think of the surgeon's knot? Is it one that you would use? If you missed the video where I talk about the difference between a square knot and a granny knot, I highly recommend that you watch that one next, because this subtle difference is going to make all the difference in the world.